Good morning, and thank you for attending today. I'm Jennifer Trimble, the Acting Staff Sergeant of Public and Media Relations. Thank you for joining us as we provide an Extortion Investigative Task Force update. This task force was launched in December 2023 in response to an increasing trend of extortions occurring within the region. Today we are joined by Peel Regional Police Chief Nishan Duraiappah, Superintendent Shelley Thompson, the officer in charge of 21 Division and the Extortion Investigative Task Force, and our Brampton Mayor, His Worship Mayor Patrick Brown. At the conclusion of the press conference, there will be an opportunity for a few questions. I would ask that your questions be specific to the task force. If you have questions on other ongoing investigations or other matters that are happening within the region, a media officer will be available at the conclusion to answer those questions. I understand that there will be specific questions regarding the incidents that the team is looking into, and I ask that you please keep in mind that this is an ongoing investigation which continues to evolve. We'll be limited in what we can share to ensure future court proceedings are not compromised. A media release will be issued shortly after the conclusion of the news conference, and the full video will be made available on the Peel Regional Police YouTube channel, which can be accessed from our website. I now invite Chief Duraiappah to the podium. Chief.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everybody. And again, I want to thank you all for being here for an important announcement. As Jen just mentioned, the purpose of today is to not only provide an update and keep this important issue out front in the media, but is also to tell you about the outcomes that we're seeing from our investigative actions here in Peel. As a background, late last year, we began to see trends here in Peel region of reported extortions aimed at our South Asian community, and particularly our South Asian business community. So this is late last year. And in these attempts, as many of you know, individual suspects were using social media or internet-based messaging platforms to contact victims under the demand for money with the threat of violence. And the threats of violence were either aimed towards the businesses, the business victims themselves, but also to their homes and families and any other individuals related to them. To date, here in Peel region, we have received 29 reported incidents of extortion. And I want to stress that part of the reason is to also implore the public and the community to contact us. We know those are the ones that have been reported thus far. One of the things you will hear, particularly from His Worship Mayor Brown, is that we have heard the community and hear the fear in our South Asian community and the business community. This not only affects the businesses, but their owners and families. We also are very proud here in Peel region to have a very vibrant business community that is the core for here in Peel. Logistics, transportation, anything outside of Los Angeles. We're one of the biggest municipalities for such a thriving business. And it is absolutely our responsibility to make sure that we respond and end this trend. As a result, the public would be aware that on December 20th, here in Peel, we announced the establishment of an Extortion Investigative Task Force. And this team is comprised of approximately 23 specialized members from here in Peel Regional Police. They're a combination of policing operations, criminal investigations, and our investigative and emergency services team. And can I tell you, they are a remarkable set of individuals who are very talented, that have all come together, that are working tirelessly. The creation of this team is for two main purposes. First and foremost is to protect this community and protect the feeling of safety that is so vibrant and needed here, as well as to prevent any future acts of violence. I need to tell you, this is a non-negotiable for us. Anyone targeting this community will not be tolerated at all. The second main objective is to identify and hold the individuals that are involved responsible and accountable. Again, our police service will not accept that. Since we started this task force, and in that same period of time, this extortion investigative team has been working tirelessly for these two objectives. And I am pleased that we will be able to share some of the outcomes thus far Some of the members of the team are here, and Superintendent Thompson will be able to speak to that. I do want to highlight that there are similar trends that we've been seeing in Alberta and as well as lower mainland British Columbia, as well as in certain locations in the U.S. Our investigative team continues to liaise and work with our respective police agencies on a national and international basis to ensure that we are continuing to share information in a way that is responsive to this complex set of extortions that we're seeing, as well as the volume of incidents. I want to highlight that our response immediately to these trends here in Peel Regional Police was to establish a team to investigate it, which has now become a model adopted by other police agencies right across this country. Today, we'll be discussing a specific investigation which has included the arrest of 4 people and the seizure of firearm, ammunition, cash, numerous computers, and approximately 50 cell phones. Those people are charged with 2 separate extortion incidents here in Peel Region and the related offenses. The team has also arrested a 5th individual for a separate extortion incident. This now brings the total number of charges laid by the Extortion Investigative Task Force here in Peel to 24 charges. I need to say that despite the success that the team is seeing, our work is far from done, and we will continue to devote the necessary resources to keep this community safe and prevent this trend from continuing. As I said earlier, we will continue to work with our partner agencies on a provincial and a national level to continue to share information gleaned. I want to encourage the community that's being affected. They need to know that this police service will not tolerate it. The response you've seen thus far is an indication of how seriously we're taking it here in Peel Region. We also want to encourage the community to come forward. If you have been victimized or you're aware or you have any information in relation to the incidents that we're seeing, please contact us immediately. We have established a hotline for the extortions. If you also wish to call and share information anonymously, obviously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. With that, again, thank you for being here. Be pleased to share the microphone with Superintendent Shelley Thompson.
Thank you, Chief, and good morning. I'm Superintendent Shelley Thompson, the officer in charge of Peel Regional Police 21 Division and the Extortion Investigative Task Force. We recognize that the rise in extortion threats in our region targeting South Asian business owners is a significant concern for our community. The intimidation and disregard for public safety directed towards our residents and business owners is unacceptable, and it will not be tolerated. In response to these incidences, the Extortion Investigative Task Force was mobilized in an effort to identify, apprehend, and hold accountable the individuals responsible for these crimes. We are still early in the investigation, and due to the judicial process, we are limited in what we can tell you, but we did feel that it was very important to speak to you, the community, and encourage people to come forward to tell us what has happened so that we can investigate the matter to the fullest extent. As of today, the team is currently investigating 29 extortions that date back to the beginning of November 2023. Of those 29, 9 of the incidents have involved shootings with multiple rounds being fired. In most incidents, the premise has been unoccupied, and we currently have no reported injuries. The method in which these extortion attempts are occurring do have similarities. The businesses that are being victimized are South Asian owned, but vary. They include, and they're not limited to, restaurants and bakeries, trucking and transport companies, independent used car dealerships, and jewelry stores. The victims are contacted by traditional means like phone calls, but web-based and social media platforms like WhatsApp video calls is being used as well. There is a demand for money under the threat of violence to them, their business, or their associates. All of the information used in the threats can be found on open sources on the internet. The financial demands range from victim to victim, but they're often specified in Canadian currency or Indian rupees, with payment being made in either cash or a money transfer method. We are here to share some of the initial results of our team's investigative efforts, which have disrupted the operation of several criminals extorting community members within Peel Region. Again, as this is ongoing, we must protect the integrity of the investigation. We continue to work with our partner agencies and law enforcement to address these incidents. This is evident in the first investigation that I'm going to be sharing with you, which was conducted in support with the Ontario Provincial Police in Caledon. On January 24th, 2024, members of the task force executed a search warrant at a residence in the city of Brampton in relation to the extortion of a Caledon business owner. These incidences occurred in Brampton and Caledon in December of 2023 and January of 2024. They include extortions, arson, threats, and firearm offenses. As a result of this warrant, there were 4 individuals that have been arrested and charged. There were over 50 cell phones that were seized, 11 laptops, a large sum of cash, and a firearm with several rounds of ammunition. The first accused was Gaganajit Singh, a 23-year-old male from Brampton, who is allegedly the person responsible for making the extortion demands on 2 separate incidents. He was subsequently charged with the following offenses: 2 counts of extortion, utter threats to cause death, discharged firearm with intent, arson causing damage to property, fraud over $5,000, along with several other firearm-related offenses. Anmaldeep Singh, a 23-year-old male from Mississauga, was charged with the following offenses: fraud over $5,000. In addition, he's also facing several other firearm-related offenses. Hajmeet Kaur, a 25-year-old female from Brampton, and Imanjot Kaur, a 21-year-old female, were both charged with multiple firearm-related offenses. On Friday, January 26, 2024, an additional arrest was made in relation to a separate extortion investigation that was conducted by the team. The victim was present at their business in the city of Brampton when they received a phone call and threatening messages to send a large amount of money or they would be shot. Investigators identified Arundeep Tind, a 39-year-old male of no fixed address, as being the person responsible for allegedly making the extortion demand. He was subsequently charged with 1 count of extortion. I want to reaffirm that these acts of intimidation on our community members will not be tolerated. We take our responsibility to ensure the public feels safe and supported very seriously. With the assistance of our community, we have made an arrest, and we will continue to make efforts to hold those responsible for these crimes accountable. We encourage anyone who has been a victim of extortion or may have information that may assist investigators to contact the Extortion Investigative Task Force at 1-866-966-0616 or by email at taskforce@peelpolice.ca or anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Thank you, and I would like to invite Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown to the podium, please.
Well, first of all, thank you, Chief Nish and Shelley and the Extortion Investigative Task Force. This is a big relief for our community. I can't tell you how harrowing it was to get phone calls in the fall from families that were terrified, business owners that were terrified, expressing a complete level of desperation and dismay, describing what it's like to have your family residence or business shot at or to be the victim of arson. This was terrorizing our community. This was terrorizing the South Asian community. And because of the great work of the Peel Police and partner organizations, this is a big win for public safety. I have to say, I've spoken to both the Solicitor General and the Public Federal Safety Minister, and I think the level of cooperation is very helpful, and it's great when you see all these law enforcement agencies working together to make sure Canadians are safe. You know, as the Chief mentioned, there's been a pattern of events across Canada, and Peel Region is one of the most complex regions where we face new criminal challenges. We're the most diverse region in the country, but with that comes challenges. But it gives me a great level of confidence that we've got the best of the best in the Peel Police. And when they meet a challenge, they find a way to attend to that challenge. And so today is a day of really relief that we know you have started the process to unravel this, that we've sent a clear message that if you're going to terrorize our residents, it will not be tolerated, that these type of heinous crimes will not go unchecked in Peel Region or in Canada. And so this is the evidence of what happens when you've got a great police force, that it gives us that sense of safety. And so there's a debt of gratitude for our residents and for those who have been victims of extortion. I know this is going to be a great sense of relief for them, that this doesn't go unabated, that the criminals behind this who continue to prey on our community are not going to get away with this. And so on behalf of the City of Brampton, on behalf of the community that I represent, I want to thank the Peel Police for their tremendous work, and they're setting the gold standard that I know is being replicated in other communities with law enforcement. So I come here today with a big smile. I've been worried talking to the chief over the last few months, but I come with a big smile today on hearing this news. This is a tremendous win for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I remind you that we are trying to balance transparency and safeguard the investigation. We'll do our best to answer your questions, but are limited to what we can share. With that said, are there any questions?
Good morning. This is Nitin from Prime Asia TV. These charges, are they enough to keep them behind the bars? Because we salute to the police forces who work day and night for the public safety. But we got shocked when these criminals, because they are out next day or few days. So my question is, anyone can answer that are the charges enough to keep them behind the bars or to deport them out of the country so that we can clean the mess here in Canada? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. And just to be clear, thank you for the question. As you know, with all of these complex investigations, we're one key component of the justice system, and these specific charges need to proceed before the courts, which our investigative teams are working tirelessly with our local crowns to ensure that the best cases are put forward. And that is a reflection of why we have such a skilled and talented set of investigators. As you know, everybody's circumstances are different. The charges, as Superintendent Thompson has relayed, will all have to be heard before the courts, the outcomes of which we cannot tell you or predict, Nitin, for sure. And as it pertains to people's residency or their their status, we know there's a wide range of individuals involved. And our goal is to mitigate the risk, prevent it from happening, and then afterwards the other systems will just have to fall into place. Then.
Chief, some people at home might be watching this tonight or today saying, this stuff is in the movie. How big of a problem is this still is, and can you reiterate what was really done for?
Sure. Maybe I'll first of all just comment generally on the trend itself. It is a disturbing trend which has nuances that are different depending on where you are geographically. Like Edmonton versus Peel may have seen different nuances in how the extortions are done. But ultimately, the use of threat to or threats of violence or violence to obtain money or any sort of gain creates a significant fear that ripples beyond the intended victim. We've got an entire business community that is fearful because they've seen what have happened to maybe one or two or a larger number of individuals. So it is a significant issue. We want this community to feel safe. Many people have heard me say that people's perception of safety is their reality, and these are actually tangible issues that are a problem. I know that every chief and every mayor that's being affected by it believes the exact same thing, and we know that it needs to be a concerted effort nationally. As you've seen, Mayor Brown has issued a call with other mayors across this country for a coordinated effort. That's really the only way to respond to that. Sorry.
I was hoping to ask about that, actually.
Sure, yes.
Didn't mean to interrupt you
No,
there.
that's fine.
But just touching on your point that this is happening in several cities across Canada, is there something that the federal government can do to step up or step in? I know, Mayor Brown, this is something that you spoke about before.
Yes, I think, first of all, I think, what the mayor has called for and what we have spoken to is important for twofold. One is to keep it out front as not just a Peel issue, it's a national issue. I think in all cases where there's a risk to the community and we put it out front, we're showing that it's an important one for us to respond and address to. The second part to your question is, yes, we do benefit from additional resourcing coordination. I need to say that coordination at the highest level, inclusive of the RCMP federal partners and police of jurisdictions in other provinces, is occurring. It really is a pretty vibrant set of connections, and maybe Shelley can speak to how the value of like a national coordination is important, and not that maybe I've said it for you already, but.
No. I mean, obviously, from an investigative perspective, we have a certain amount of resources to dedicate to this. I think it's important that you have a coordinated effort with different police agencies. We are liaising with municipal, provincial, and federal police agencies, nationally, internationally, so that we can put a lens on this and make sure that we're looking at every investigative avenue possible into it. I think from a national perspective, and I'll turn it over to the mayor to speak on that, but from a national perspective, a coordinated effort absolutely lets us open up the lines of communication a little bit better. It allows us to secure more resources and put kind of a joint effort towards dealing with these types of crimes, because it is happening across Canada, it's happening internationally, and so it just allows the lines of communication to open up in terms of is there linkages, is there not, what are we looking at?
I'll just briefly add, as the chief said, the desire for there to be coordination is happening, and the fact that the Solicitor General and the Public Safety Minister reached out to make sure that full collaboration was happening is encouraging, and I think it, obviously the first success in this investigation has happened in Peel, but I imagine that this type of coordination will help solve these crimes around the country. But there's a high level of collaboration. I'm grateful how eager the Solicitor General and the Public Safety Minister were to help.
Adrian with CTV News. Question for the chief or whoever wants to take it. While these are a win for your police force, there's going to be members of your business community who say this is just, these guys are just hired guns. They don't actually, they're not the heart of the problem, which there's multiple signs pointing to international organized crime from India. There's members of your business community today, when they leave their home, they're wearing bulletproof vests. What is your message to them that this is going to be taken care of? Not just arresting lower level guys, but from the top down.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. First of all, we can't diminish the fact that this has caused fear amongst our business community, and how fear manifests itself for individuals is different in different ways, and many of them are, really, really scared and worried about what may happen to them. I think that the reality is the assurance they need to get from things like today and hearing from me is that it is like a priority for us here in Peel to stop it, period. Part of that requires their trust and belief that the resourcing and the investigations that we're doing are all aimed at stopping this complex trend. And I think we will be one of the first, and maybe Shelley can speak to it, to recognize that it's not just one or two people. There's some complexities to this, which is why the investigative task force is looking at how coordinated and organized this is, where different individuals in the whole, let's call it ecosystem, are. Some of them are on the street, and some of them, as you know, and as Shelley mentioned, one of the individuals arrested was the one just making the phone calls versus, and then we've had incidents, and we've highlighted where there have been acts of violence here in Peel. So there is a complex ecosystem of people involved in this, without a doubt, but that is what the team is working on. And Shelley, I don't know if you want to add some more operational insight to what that looks like for the business community?
I think it's just to to top it up, what the chief had said is our investigators, we do have a dedicated team. They are working diligently. It does take time to, you do the charges and you do the arrest, but it does take time to go through the evidence, sift through it, and see what linkages there are, if there are any. So when we're talking about, is this organized? Is there a level of sophistication? I think at the base level, we've established that that there is. At the base level, there's some similarities between them. But to say that it's organized crime, it's still early in the investigation, and we're trying to go through all the evidence to see. And that's why I want to reassure the community that, not only are the investigators going through the information and the evidence, but we're also making sure that we're reaching out to other services if there's anything that they possibly have seen. Is there similarities? What are we seeing? So this stuff, obviously, as you can appreciate, takes time to go through, but the investigators are working on it.
Are you working with CSIS, the RCMP? Have they had any luck with the counterparts in India?
I can say that we've had conversations with the RCMP. I can't speak to whether or not the investigators have had conversations with CSIS. I do know that we do have open lines with law enforcement in India.
Chief, over here is the next, please. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News. You said 29 cases are under investigation right now, but do you have a sense that this is actually underreported and it might be happening more broadly and people are too fearful to report it?
Yes, absolutely. So as I explained, we do have 29 active investigations that are on the go right now. We do believe that there are people who are scared and are not coming forward, which is why we are, doing, one of the reasons we're doing this is to put it out there to the community. We are looking for information. If you've been a victim, if you have information to assist the police, that you contact the hotline or the Crime Stoppers, or you can email us. But we certainly do think and believe that there are people who have not come forward and are either scared or have their own reason as to why they haven't reached out to the police.
Can you elaborate on those open lines of communication with the government of India? What have you been talking to them about? Have you asked them to participate in investigations? Are they cooperating? Mayor Brown, you specifically asked for the federal government to talk to their counterparts in India. You also have a lot of contacts in India, so have you been talking to people over there? If both of you could comment a bit about your involvement with conversations with people.
Again, I can't really answer any more other than the lines of communication are open to India. As I stated, these are early in the investigations, and the investigators at this point are having conversations with law enforcement agencies in India, but I can't put specifics as to what is being said and what is being discussed due to the integrity of the investigations going on.
But would you acknowledge that unless there's meaningful work that's done on the ground in India, then you're just kind of playing whack-a-mole with low-level figures here in Peel Region?
Well, I mean, the investigators are working and having conversations with what is happening over in India, but in terms of what conversations they're having and the substance and the content of the conversations, I can't comment on that right now.
But do you acknowledge that this is where these threats are being controlled and emanating from?
I can't add clarity to that right now because it's early in the investigation, and so we're still trying to sift through stuff to see if there's a connection to India. Right now, with the information that we have, that we are working with, there is not. So we're still having conversations, and again, we are early in the investigative stages, so we're still trying to work through that to see if there is information that is, we're working through the information currently.
You haven't established a firm connection to India? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. We have not at this point in time with the information that we currently have.
Good morning, Courtney Hales with CP24. Can you speak to the significance of the arrests of the 5 individuals? Do you believe they could be responsible for other extortion cases, or do you believe there are many others involved in this in Peel Region?
Again, it's early in the investigation. I can't speak to, they're trying to go through the evidence to see if they're responsible for other ones. It's still early in the investigation, and I can't comment on that.
Follow up on my colleague's question, this perhaps being underreported. Why is it you think people might hesitate to contact police if they are on the receiving end of a threat?
I think as the chief explained, there's a lot of fear within the community, right? It's instilled a lot of fear, and so people are hesitant to come forward. What I can say is that we are moving forward, we are making arrests, we are charging people, and so I am urging people to come forward despite their hesitations. We do have lines open, communication for them to call, the hotline and the email. I can't speak as to what their particular reason is as to why they're not, but I think fear probably plays a huge part in it at this point.
Hi, Faiza with City News here. You talk about the victims here living in fear, that there's a lot of fear. Can you expand on that and touch on how that's manifested and impacted their daily lives? My colleague Adrian mentioned that some people are wearing bulletproof vests. Can you talk about this fear in the community more in detail?
At this point in time, I can't speak to the specifics of any of the victims or the accused in this, so no, sorry.
Sorry, this will be the last question.
I have a follow-up. These people whom we arrested, because seems they are 21, 22 years of age, 4 individuals. What they came here on a study visa, which colleges they went, did they completed their studies? Because there were reports that many 20,000 students, they never attended any college, university. So any more details in the investigation you have? Also, we would like to see here 2 leaders we have here, Chief Nish and Mayor Brown. What level, because break and enters are also happening, and what public should do, because it's scary videos, 4 a.m. in the morning, armed people enter. So first on these individuals, thank you.
So I'll address the accused parties, and in terms of the accused, because they are charged and the matters are before the court, I can't speak to whether or not how they're here in Canada. So I'm going to have to put that one to rest right now, just so that we're not jeopardizing the judicial process when they come before the courts and tainting the process.
And then I think, you know, here's the reality is, today is obviously to keep this issue out front. Second part is to show and indicate to the community with some confidence that we are able to arrest individuals involved with these patterns of behaviors. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that that is communicated as an example of our response. So the fear which they rightfully may have needs to be couched with you know, the positive action that's happening concurrent to that. Now, for individuals that are worried, we would be happy to have them connect for prevention-related tips and how to protect and keep their properties safe. We have multiple resources that help bolster and strengthen people's sense of security. You know, there's a conflation of multiple issues that are happening in the community. We know that it's not just here in Peel, whether it be auto thefts or those type of issues. So, I mean, all of them require a response in us to assist the public in making sure that they do what they can within their control to ensure that they're safe. So, really, that's the best I can comment on that. Sure.
Nitin, since you asked, what I would say is, from residents who have felt helpless, this is why you come forward. Because if you come forward, the police are able to have that investigation, and they have success. Again and again and again, when you come forward to the Peel Police, they have the tools, they've got the capacity to find the people responsible. And obviously, people are making payments. People are falling victim. Otherwise, it wouldn't continue to be replicated in Peel and across Canada and the U.S. And so if these crimes go unabated, then they'll continue to flourish, continue to grow. This hopefully is a message to those victims that you're not helpless. When you come forward, real results happen, and it's a win for public safety.
This concludes our update. Thank you for your time. And should you have any further inquiries that we did not get to, please send them to the media inbox. Thank you.